The person you'll be 5 years from now depends on two things: the books you read and the people you surround yourself with. But what if I told you there's a third factor that's even more powerful? Your daily habits. Most people get this completely wrong, and it's costing them everything. The most successful people in the world don't just happen by accident. They're created through consistent, intentional action. Today, I'm breaking down the exact framework used by the world's top achievers to transform themselves from ordinary to extraordinary. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, but starting right now with what you already have. I've spent years studying success patterns, and I've discovered that creating your best self isn't about massive overnight changes. It's about understanding 10 key principles that, when applied daily, lead to incredible transformation. Let's dive in. The mirror of accountability. When you rise in the morning and catch that first glimpse of yourself, what do you see? Most see their physical appearance, the bags under their eyes, the wrinkles forming at the corners, perhaps a few gray hairs making their debut. But I'm asking you to look deeper. That reflection holds the architect of your entire existence, the creator of every circumstance you now face. That person staring back at you, that's who built this life of yours brick by brick, choice by choice. This isn't about harshness or self-criticism. This is about power, the most fundamental power you possess. The power of acknowledging that you stand at the center of your life story, not as a victim of circumstance, but as its primary author. I've met thousands of people across this journey we call life, the struggling and the successful, the fulfilled and the frustrated. The difference between them isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's whether they've embraced this fundamental truth. We are responsible for our lives. Look around your life, right now. Your relationships, your health, your career, your finances. Every aspect bears your signature. You chose that job. You built those relationships. You made those financial decisions. You decided what to put on your plate and whether to move your body. Even in situations where outside forces played a role, you chose how to respond. But what about when bad things happen to us, you might ask? What about when we're treated unfairly? What about circumstances beyond our control? These are valid questions. Life indeed throws curveballs. People disappoint us. Health challenges emerge. Economic downturns happen. But here's where the magic lies. Even when you can't control what happens, you always control your response. The unemployed worker who spends months blaming the economy remains unemployed. The one who takes responsibility for finding new opportunities, for learning new skills, for networking more effectively, that person eventually thrives. They refuse to surrender their power to external conditions. When you blame others, you become a prisoner to their actions. When you blame circumstances, you become a victim of chance. This mental position feels safe. It protects your ego and shields you from confronting uncomfortable truths. But that safety is an illusion that costs you your freedom, your potential, and ultimately, your happiness. True freedom begins with 4 simple words. I am responsible for. Try saying them aloud. Feel their weight, their significance. When you preface any situation with these words, you transform from passenger to driver in your own life. Your marriage is struggling? I am responsible for the energy I bring to this relationship. Your career has stalled? I am responsible for developing my skills and proving my value. Your health is declining? I am responsible for the choices I make each day that affect my body. This isn't about beating yourself up or denying the real challenges you face. It's about recognizing that within every challenge lies a choice, your choice. How will you respond? What actions will you take? What meaning will you assign to these events? Consider the remarkable story of Viktor Frankl, who endured the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps. In circumstances where all external freedoms were stripped away, he discovered what he called the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. If accountability can be maintained in such extreme conditions, what excuse do any of us have for surrendering it in our comparatively comfortable lives? The moment you embrace total accountability, something extraordinary happens. Problems transform into opportunities. Complaints transform into action plans. I can't becomes how can I? You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? And what am I going to do about it? Accountability isn't just about taking responsibility for past choices. It's about recognizing your power to make different choices moving forward. Perhaps you've spent years in an unfulfilling career because it was expected of you. The past is written, but today, right now, you can make a different choice that aligns with your authentic self. I challenge you to conduct an accountability audit of your life. Take out a notebook and divide your page into 2 columns. In the first column, list all the areas of your life where you feel dissatisfied. In the second column, write down the specific ways you've contributed to creating that reality. Be brutally honest with yourself. This isn't about shame, it's about clarity and reclaiming your power. Next, write down the new choices you commit to making. Be specific. Instead of, I'll try harder at my job, write, I will arrive 30 minutes early each day to organize my priorities. Instead of, I'll work on my relationship, write, I will put away my phone during dinner and ask my partner meaningful questions. When you first embrace accountability, it might feel overwhelming. The weight of responsibility can be heavy. But as you practice this mindset daily, something shifts. The burden transforms into wings. You stop feeling weighed down by life and start feeling liberated by the recognition of your own agency. Remember that accountability is a practice, not a destination. You'll have days when it's easier to blame, to make excuses, to see yourself as a victim of circumstance. When those moments come, gently return to the mirror. Look into your own eyes and remind yourself, I create my reality. I have the power to choose differently. The most powerful words in the human language are, I choose. Not I must, or I should, or I have to. When you say I choose, you acknowledge your power. I choose to stay in this job while I develop skills for a better one. I choose to remain in this relationship while working to improve it. I choose to prioritize my long-term health over momentary pleasure. Starting today, eliminate phrases like, I have to, I can't, and I must from your vocabulary. Replace them with, I choose to, or I choose not to. Notice how this simple linguistic shift transforms your relationship with your own life. The mirror of accountability reflects not just who you are, but who you're becoming. When you look into it with courage and honesty, you'll find not just responsibility, but possibility. The possibility of creating exactly the life you want through the power of your choices. Look in that mirror tomorrow morning and make a promise to the person staring back at you. From this day forward, I take complete ownership of my life. My future begins with me. The clarity compassion. The quiet moments when the noise of the world subsides and you're left alone with your thoughts, a question often emerges from the depths of your consciousness. Where am I going? Not just physically from point A to point B, but in the grand journey of your life. What destination are you moving toward? What are you building? What legacy are you creating? Most people find this question uncomfortable, even terrifying. They push it away, distracting themselves with the urgent demands of daily life. They focus on surviving Monday, making it to Friday, perhaps planning their next vacation. But the fundamental question of destination remains unanswered. This avoidance creates a life of drift, moving wherever the currents of circumstance, other people's expectations, and societal norms carry you. You end up climbing ladders without checking whether they're leaning against the right walls. You accumulate possessions without evaluating whether they bring meaning. You enter relationships without understanding what you truly need from connection. Clarity is the antidote to drift. Clarity is the difference between building a life by design rather than by default. Clarity transforms every decision from a shot in the dark to a deliberate step toward your chosen destination. Think about the last time you took a significant journey. Did you simply get in your car and start driving in any direction, hoping you'd eventually arrive somewhere interesting? Of course not. You identified a destination. You mapped the route. You anticipated obstacles. You prepared for the journey. Why would the journey of your life deserve any less deliberate planning? The most successful individuals I've encountered across decades of studying human achievement share one common trait. They possess extraordinary clarity about what they want. They've taken the time to define success on their own terms. They've identified their true north. Their clarity becomes a filter through which every opportunity, relationship, and decision must pass. Without this filter, you become vulnerable to living someone else's definition of success. Your parents might define success as financial security and professional status. Society might define it as material accumulation and public recognition. Your social media feed might define it as picture-perfect experiences and relationships. But what is your definition? Creating clarity begins with permission. Permission to want what you truly want, not what you should want. This requires courage because authentic desire often conflicts with external expectations. Your heart might call you toward creative expression, while your conditioning pushes you toward conventional security. Your soul might value freedom, while your community values conformity. Clarity emerges when you dare to listen to your own wisdom above the chorus of outside voices. It requires solitude. It demands reflection. It calls for brutal honesty about what lights you up from within and what drains your life force. I challenge you to conduct what I call a desire inventory. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Take out a journal and answer these questions with raw honesty. What would I do with my life if money were no object? What would I pursue if I knew I couldn't fail? What activities cause me to lose track of time? What contributions would make me feel my life had meaning? What would I attempt if I weren't concerned with others' opinions? Your answers reveal the authentic desires that should form the foundation of your clarity compass. But vague desires aren't enough. You must transform these general directions into specific destinations with coordinates precise enough to navigate toward. When you say, "I want better health," your mind has nothing concrete to pursue. But when you declare, "I want to establish a consistent meditation practice of 20 minutes daily, strength train 3 times weekly, sleep 7 to 8 hours nightly, and fuel my body with primarily whole foods," you've created a destination your mind can navigate toward. When you say, "I want financial freedom," you're speaking in abstractions. But when you state, "I want to build a location-independent business generating $15,000 monthly with no more than 25 hours of my direct involvement, while accumulating investment assets of $1.2 million within 8 years," you've created a target your actions can align with. This specificity isn't about rigidity. It's about focus. It's about giving your subconscious mind clear instructions about what to create. When you clarify exactly what you want, you activate what psychologists call the reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information and opportunities from your environment. Suddenly, you begin noticing resources, connections, and possibilities aligned with your vision that were always present but previously invisible to you. Your clarity must extend beyond outcomes to encompass values and principles. What qualities do you want to embody on this journey? What standards will you uphold regardless of circumstances? What boundaries will you maintain? What non-negotiables must be honored? With this comprehensive clarity of destinations, values, and boundaries, every decision becomes simpler. Should you take that job? Accept that invitation? Pursue that relationship? Invest in that opportunity? Your clarity becomes the compass, guiding these choices. Does this align with where I'm going? Does this honor what I value? Does this respect my boundaries? Review your clarity compass regularly. Life evolves. You evolve. What you wanted at 25 may differ from what you want at 35 or 45. The point isn't to set goals in stone, but to consciously choose your direction rather than drifting wherever life's currents carry you. When you achieve this level of clarity, something magical happens. Distractions lose their power over you. The opinions of others matter less. The anxiety of uncertainty diminishes. You move through life with purpose rather than confusion, with intention rather than reaction. Remember that clarity isn't about having all the answers or planning every detail of your journey. It's about knowing your destination while remaining flexible about the route. It's about recognizing when you've veered off course and having the reference points to realign. The greatest tragedy in life isn't failing to reach your destination. It's spending your precious years traveling toward destinations that were never yours to begin with. It's climbing mountains only to discover the view leaves you empty. It's accumulating achievements that impress others while leaving you unfulfilled. Your clarity compass won't eliminate obstacles from your path. You'll still face challenges, setbacks, and periods of doubt. But with clarity, these become mere detours rather than derailments. You may need to adjust your route, but your destination remains your guiding star. Today, right now, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads to continued drift, to a life shaped more by circumstance than by choice. The other leads to a life of clarity, purpose, and deliberate creation. The journey toward clarity isn't always comfortable. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths, releasing outdated identities, and sometimes disappointing others. But on the other side of this discomfort lies the extraordinary freedom of authoring your own life story. Take out that journal. Define your destinations. Clarify your values. Establish your boundaries. Create your compass. And then, with clear eyes and an open heart, begin navigating toward the life that's waiting for your arrival. The power of daily systems, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to think about something that might change your perspective forever. What if I told you that the most extraordinary achievements in human history weren't the result of extraordinary moments, but rather the product of ordinary moments stacked deliberately over time? We live in a culture obsessed with outcomes. We celebrate the championship win, but overlook the thousands of practice hours that preceded it. We marvel at the best-selling book, but forget about the daily writing sessions that brought it into existence. We admire the successful business, but don't see the consistent small improvements made year after year. This fixation on outcomes rather than process has created a fundamental misunderstanding about how success actually works. Most people set ambitious goals with genuine enthusiasm: lose 30 pounds, build a thriving business, write a book, transform their relationships, but then find themselves exactly where they started months later. Why? Because they never developed the systems to translate their aspirations into reality. Goals without systems are simply wishes. They may inspire you temporarily, but they won't transform your life. Systems, on the other hand, are the quiet engines of achievement, the daily practices and habits that move you incrementally toward your desired outcomes, whether you're feeling motivated that day or not. Consider the remarkable transformation of the British cycling team. For nearly a century, they were so mediocre that top bicycle manufacturers refused to sell them equipment for fear it would hurt sales. Then came a new performance director with a different philosophy. Instead of focusing solely on the goal of winning races, he implemented a system of tiny, 1% improvements across everything they did, from obvious areas like training and nutrition to seemingly insignificant details like the pillows cyclists slept on and the hand sanitizer they used to prevent colds. Within 5 years, these accumulated marginal gains produced extraordinary results: multiple Olympic gold medals and Tour de France victories. This principle applies to every area of your life. The body you have today is a direct reflection not of your fitness goals, but of your eating and exercise systems. Your financial situation mirrors not your money goals, but your spending and earning systems. Your relationships reflect not your connection goals, but your communication and presence systems. Let me share a powerful truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. On any given day, your systems will either move you closer to your goals or further away from them. And here's the key. These systems operate whether you're conscious of them or not. If you don't deliberately design them, they'll develop by default, often working against your intentions rather than supporting them. Imagine two individuals with identical goals of losing 30 pounds. The first focuses intensely on that outcome, thinks about it constantly, places sticky notes on her mirror reminding her of the goal. The second barely thinks about the weight loss itself, but instead directs her attention to building sustainable systems, preparing healthy meals every Sunday, scheduling workouts in her calendar like important meetings, establishing an evening routine that ensures adequate sleep, finding a workout partner for accountability. 6 months later, who do you think will have made more progress? Without exception, the person who focused on systems will outperform the goal-focused individual. Why? Because while the goal setter relies on motivation, which fluctuates, the system builder creates structures that operate regardless of momentary feelings. Think about professional athletes. They don't wake up and wonder whether they feel like training that day. They have systems, scheduled practices, established routines, accountability structures. They show up and execute the system regardless of motivation. This consistency is what separates the elite from the average, or consider the writer who produces consistently excellent work. Their success isn't about setting ambitious word count goals. It's about creating a systematic approach to their craft. Perhaps writing at the same time each day in the same environment, with social media blocked, phone silent, after completing a specific warm-up ritual. These systems make the desired behavior not just possible, but inevitable. Your environment plays a crucial role in your systems. Most people try to change their behavior through willpower alone, fighting against environments designed to make them fail. The person trying to reduce social media usage while keeping notification alerts active on their phone. The individual attempting to save money while storing credit card information on shopping websites. The would-be early riser who keeps their phone beside their bed as an alarm clock, inviting late-night scrolling. Successful people don't have more willpower. They simply structure their environment to make good decisions easier and poor decisions harder. They make their systems inevitable through environmental design. Want to exercise more consistently? Sleep in your workout clothes and place your running shoes by the door. Want to improve your diet? Stock your refrigerator with pre-cut vegetables and protein sources while keeping processed foods out of your home. Want to save more money? Set up automatic transfers to your investment accounts on payday before you can spend it. These environmental adjustments might seem trivial, but they represent the difference between systems that require constant willpower and systems that flow naturally. Another key element of effective systems is measurement. The things you measure tend to improve. If you want to enhance your productivity, start tracking how you spend your time. If you want to improve your fitness, record your workouts. If you want to strengthen your relationships, note how many meaningful conversations you initiate each day, but be careful what you measure because it will shape your behavior. If you measure only your weight on the scale, you might adopt unhealthy practices to see that number decrease. If you measure only revenue in your business, you might sacrifice quality or ethics to increase income. Choose measurements that encourage the right behaviors, not just the desired outcomes. The beauty of systems thinking is that it liberates you from the emotional roller coaster of goal pursuit. When your identity becomes tied to achieving specific outcomes, every setback feels like a personal failure. But when you commit to systems, you can detach your identity from outcomes and attach it instead to the process. You're no longer a person who failed to lose weight. You're a person who follows nutrition and exercise systems consistently, adjusting as needed. This mental shift transforms how you experience the journey. Obstacles become data points rather than failures. Plateaus become opportunities to refine your system rather than reasons to quit. You develop patience because you understand that meaningful changes compound over time, often invisibly until they reach a tipping point. I challenge you today to shift your focus from goals to systems. Don't abandon your aspirations, but recognize that they're merely the direction. Your systems are the vehicle that will take you there. Begin by identifying one important goal in your life right now. Then ask yourself, what system would virtually guarantee this outcome if I followed it consistently? Design that system in detail. When, where, how, with what accountability. Then commit to the system rather than the outcome, measuring your success by your adherence to the process rather than the immediate results. Remember that extraordinary results are rarely produced by extraordinary efforts. They emerge from ordinary efforts applied consistently through intelligent systems. The power doesn't lie in the intensity of your work, but in the strategic consistency of your approach. Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. How in shape you are is a result of your habits, not your wishes. How happy your relationships are is a result of your habits, not your intentions. How successful your career is stems from your habits, not your aspirations. Build the right systems, and success becomes not a matter of if, but when. Your goals tell you where you're going. Your systems get you there, the growth mindset advantage. There's a fundamental divide that separates humanity more powerfully than wealth, education, or opportunity. This divide isn't visible to the naked eye, yet it shapes every aspect of our lives, our achievements, our relationships, our resilience, and ultimately, our happiness. I'm talking about the division between those who believe their qualities are carved in stone and those who believe their qualities can be cultivated through effort. Psychologists call these the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And understanding the difference between them might be the most important insight you'll ever gain about yourself. Those with a fixed mindset believe their intelligence, creativity, personality, and character are static traits, gifts you're either born with or without. They're constantly in the business of proving themselves, terrified of making mistakes that might reveal their inadequacies. "I'm not good at math" isn't just a statement about current ability, it's a declaration about inherent limitation. "I'm not a public speaker" isn't a description of experience, but a boundary they dare not cross. In contrast, those with a growth mindset see these same qualities as malleable, something to be developed through dedication and hard work. They believe that brains and talent are just the starting point and that anyone can improve through passion, training, and persistence. When they say, "I'm not good at negotiations yet," that final word changes everything. It acknowledges the current reality while leaving the door open to future growth. The difference between these mindsets creates dramatically different behaviors. Those with fixed mindsets avoid challenges, fearing that failure might prove their limitations. They give up easily when obstacles appear, seeing effort as fruitless if the talent isn't there. They ignore constructive criticism, perceiving it as a personal attack rather than valuable feedback. And perhaps most destructively, they feel threatened by others' success, seeing it as a painful reminder of their own inadequacy. Growth-minded individuals, however, embrace challenges precisely because they value growth over looking smart. They persist through obstacles, understanding that struggle is part of mastery, not evidence against it. They actively seek feedback, recognizing it as crucial information for improvement, and they find lessons and inspiration in others' success, rather than feeling diminished by it. The science behind these mindsets is compelling. Your brain forms new neural connections throughout your entire life in response to experience and deliberate practice, a property called neuroplasticity. London taxi drivers develop larger hippocampi, the brain region associated with spatial memory, after years of navigating complex city streets. Violinists develop expanded brain regions, corresponding to the fingers of their left hand. Your brain physically changes in response to use, growing new connections and strengthening existing ones. This neuroplasticity extends to every quality we often think of as fixed. Intelligence can be developed through exposure to increasingly complex problems and concepts. Creativity expands through consistent practice in divergent thinking. Social skills improve through deliberate interaction and reflection. Self-control strengthens through progressive challenges to our willpower. But here's the crucial part. These changes only happen when you embrace the process of growth itself. If you believe improvement is impossible, you never engage in the deliberate practice necessary to initiate these brain changes. Your belief itself becomes the ceiling on your potential. Let me share a remarkable study that demonstrates this principle. Researchers worked with students who were struggling in mathematics. One group received excellent tutoring in math concepts. The other received the same tutoring plus information about brain plasticity, how the brain grows new connections when challenged. The students who understood that their brains physically developed through effort showed significantly greater improvement than those who received only content tutoring. Their belief in the possibility of growth literally created more growth. So how do you cultivate this growth mindset that unlocks your potential? It begins with awareness. Start listening to your inner dialogue when you face challenges or setbacks. Do you hear yourself saying things like, "I'm not cut out for this," or "Maybe I just don't have what it takes"? These are the whispers of the fixed mindset, limiting your possibilities. Practice catching these thoughts and reframing them. "I'm not good at this yet." "This is challenging, which means my brain is growing." "I haven't found the right strategy." This isn't positive thinking. It's accurate thinking based on the science of human development. Next, fall in love with the process rather than the outcome. A growth mindset thrives on the journey of improvement rather than the destination of achievement. When you face a difficult task, focus on what you're learning, not just whether you succeed or fail. Ask yourself, what skills am I developing? What insights am I gaining? How am I growing through this challenge? Cultivate your relationship with effort. In a fixed mindset, effort feels threatening. If you have to try hard, it must mean you lack natural ability. But in a growth mindset, effort is the pathway to mastery. The most accomplished individuals in any field, from athletics to art, from science to business, are typically those who have invested the most deliberate practice, not those with the greatest innate talent. Embrace difficulty. Your brain grows most when you're working at the edge of your abilities, much like muscles develop when stressed just beyond their current capacity. If you're always comfortable, you're not growing. Seek out challenges that push you just beyond your current skill level, where success requires stretch but isn't impossible. Redefine failure. In a fixed mindset, failure is an identity. I am a failure. In a growth mindset, failure is an event. That approach failed. This distinction changes everything. When failure isn't a reflection of your inherent capabilities but merely information about a specific strategy that didn't work, you can respond with curiosity rather than devastation. What can I learn from this? What will I try differently? Next time? Perhaps most powerfully, change your relationship with feedback. Those with fixed mindsets often avoid or reject criticism, seeing it as judgment of their worth. Those with growth mindsets actively seek feedback, even when it's uncomfortable, because they value improvement over validation. They ask questions, like what specifically could I improve, rather than defending their performance. The beauty of the growth mindset is that it creates a passion for learning rather than a hunger for approval. It allows you to value what you're doing regardless of the outcome. It protects your sense of self from being defined by achievements or failures. Consider how this mindset transforms various domains of life. In relationships, fixed-minded individuals believe compatibility is inherent. You either click with someone or you don't. Growth-minded people understand that great relationships develop through communication, empathy, and willingness to work through difficulties. In careers, the fixed mindset leads people to avoid challenges that might reveal inadequacy, while the growth mindset embraces stretching assignments that build new capabilities. Even your view of personality can shift. Many believe character traits are fixed. I'm just an anxious person, or I've always been disorganized. The growth mindset recognizes that while we may have predispositions, we can develop new emotional responses, organizational systems, and interpersonal skills. Through practice, your potential is unknown and unknowable. The person you might become through persistent, intelligent effort would likely astonish the person you are today. But you'll never discover that potential if you believe your abilities are fixed. Remember that adopting a growth mindset doesn't mean denying real differences in initial capabilities, learning styles, or interests. We all start from different places. The growth mindset simply recognizes that everyone can change and grow through application and experience. Today, I challenge you to make one shift. Begin noticing when you use permanent fixed language about yourself or others. Catch phrases like, "I'm not a math person," or "she's naturally athletic," or "he's just more creative than me." Then add that magical word "yet," or replace "naturally" with "through practice." This simple linguistic shift begins rewiring your understanding of human capability, including your own. Your mindset is not itself fixed. Even if you've spent decades in a fixed framework, you can develop a growth-oriented perspective through awareness and practice. And when you do, you unlock a fundamental truth that will transform your life. Your greatest limitations aren't inherent in your abilities, but in your beliefs about those abilities. The art of deliberate discomfort. Want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine a butterfly still in its chrysalis. If you were to take scissors and carefully cut open that chrysalis to help the butterfly emerge, what would happen? That butterfly would die. Why? Because the very struggle of pushing against that chrysalis is what forces fluid into its wings, strengthening them for flight. Without that necessary discomfort, the butterfly never develops the strength to fly. You and I are no different. The struggles we instinctively avoid are often the very experiences we need most. We live in a society engineered for comfort. Everything around us is designed to eliminate friction, reduce effort, and maximize convenience. One-click shopping, food delivery apps, endless entertainment at our fingertips, information without effort. The modern world promises us that discomfort is unnecessary and should be eliminated whenever possible. But there's a profound cost to this comfort-centric existence that most people never recognize until it's too late. While they've successfully avoided discomfort, they've simultaneously avoided growth. They've traded their potential for convenience. They've sacrificed their dreams at the altar of comfort. Look at your own life. Think about the goals you've set, but never achieved. The dreams you've deferred, the potential you haven't fulfilled. I can almost guarantee that standing between you and those aspirations is a wall of discomfort you've been unwilling to climb. The extraordinary body you want lies on the other side of physical discomfort. The burn in your muscles, the discipline of consistent training, the sacrifice of immediate pleasure for long-term health. The career advancement you desire requires the discomfort of taking on challenges beyond your current capabilities, risking failure, facing rejection, and receiving criticism. The intimate relationships you crave demand the discomfort of vulnerability, difficult conversations, and personal accountability. Every meaningful achievement in human history came through discomfort. Olympic gold medals are won through thousands of hours of painful training when no one is watching. Groundbreaking innovations emerge after countless failed experiments. Business empires rise from repeated rejection and setbacks. Masterpieces are created through the discomfort of creative struggle and ruthless self-editing. Yet most people organize their lives around avoiding the very discomfort that would transform them. They choose the familiar over the unknown, the comfortable over the challenging, the easy over the meaningful. They wonder why they feel stuck, stagnant, unfulfilled, never realizing they've designed their lives precisely for those outcomes by avoiding discomfort at all costs. The world's highest performers understand something fundamental that others miss. Discomfort isn't something to be avoided. It's something to be embraced as the primary catalyst for growth. They've developed what I call discomfort resilience, the ability to move toward challenges rather than away from them, to see difficulty as opportunity rather than obstacle. Consider the Navy SEALs, arguably some of the most mentally tough individuals on the planet. Their infamous Hell Week pushes candidates beyond what most would consider humanly possible. 120 hours of nearly continuous physical activity with less than 4 hours of sleep total. Why? Because they're forging individuals who run toward danger when others flee, who function effectively when every physical and mental system is screaming for relief. Their mantra, "Embrace the suck," encapsulates this philosophy perfectly. While you may never need to perform underwater demolition in hostile territory, this mindset applies just as powerfully to your everyday life. The question becomes, how do we develop this capacity for purposeful discomfort? Start with what I call comfort zone expansion. Each day, deliberately do one thing, just one thing, that makes you uncomfortable. Make that difficult phone call you've been avoiding. Speak up in the meeting when you'd rather stay silent. Have the honest conversation instead of the pleasant one. Try the workout that intimidates you. Reach out to someone you admire but feel nervous approaching. These daily discomfort practices serve as weight training for your discomfort muscles. Just as you wouldn't walk into a gym and try to bench press 300 pounds on your first day, you might Don't need to tackle your most terrifying challenges immediately. Start small, build your capacity, and progressively increase the challenge. Crucially, learn to distinguish between discomfort and danger. Discomfort is the feeling of growth happening, the stretch that strengthens. Danger is a legitimate threat to your well-being. Many people confuse these sensations, treating discomfort as something harmful they must avoid, rather than recognizing it as the sensation of expansion. When you feel nervous before giving a presentation, that's discomfort, not danger. When your muscles burn during the final reps of an exercise, that's discomfort, not damage. When you feel vulnerable sharing your ideas, that's discomfort, not destruction. Learn to recognize these feelings as indicators of growth rather than warnings of harm. Develop a new relationship with failure and rejection. These experiences cause acute discomfort, which is precisely why most people organize their lives to avoid them. But what if you reframed rejection as information rather than judgment? What if you saw failure as education rather than indictment? The most successful individuals collect rejections and failures as badges of honor, evidence they're pushing boundaries rather than playing it safe. Remember that discomfort is temporary, but regret is permanent. The discomfort of discipline weighs ounces, while the discomfort of regret weighs tons. 20 seconds of courage, of embracing discomfort, can literally change the trajectory of your life. Let me ask you, what discomfort are you avoiding? Right now, that's keeping you from becoming who you could be. What conversation, what action, what decision, what challenge? Identify it, move toward it deliberately, and watch as your capacity for life-changing growth expands. The path to an extraordinary life doesn't run through comfort. It runs straight through the heart of purposeful discomfort. Start walking that path today. The power of your inner circle. The ancient proverb tells us, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." In my decades of studying success and human potential, I've found few principles more powerful or more overlooked than this fundamental truth. The people you surround yourself with shape who you become far more than you might realize. They determine the conversations you engage in, the expectations that feel normal, the behaviors you witness daily, and the beliefs you absorb unconsciously. They set the ceiling for what feels possible in your life and the floor for what you'll settle for. Take a moment right now to consider your 5 closest associations, the people you spend the most time with, physically or virtually. What are their dominant thought patterns? How ambitious are their goals? How do they respond to challenges? What are their health habits, their financial habits, their relationship patterns? Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. You are becoming a composite of these 5 people. Their patterns, perspectives, and behaviors are shaping yours through the subtle but powerful force of social influence. Their ceiling often becomes your ceiling. Their limitations often become your limitations. This isn't mystical thinking, it's neuroscience. Our brains contain specialized cells called mirror neurons that cause us to unconsciously imitate those around us. We automatically adopt the body language, speech patterns, emotional states, and thought patterns of our social environment. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to match your surroundings without your conscious permission. The research on this is stunning. Studies show that if your friend becomes obese, your likelihood of obesity increases by 57%, even if they live hundreds of miles away. If you surround yourself with smokers, your chances of smoking increase dramatically. If your close circle prioritizes fitness, you're far more likely to maintain exercise habits. But this influence extends far beyond health. The income level you consider normal and achievable is heavily influenced by your social circle. Your beliefs about what constitutes a healthy relationship mirror those of your inner circle. Your standards for personal growth, learning, and achievement reflect those of your 5 closest associations. This principle operates whether you're conscious of it or not. The question is, are you intentionally designing your social environment, or are you absorbing it by default? Most people give more thought to choosing a restaurant for dinner than to choosing the influences that will shape their character, their mindset, and ultimately their destiny. They allow proximity and circumstance, who happens to be around them by accident of geography or history, to determine their most powerful influences. Successful individuals, by contrast, curate their social environment with extreme intention. They understand that personal growth requires a community that pulls them forward, not one that holds them in place. This isn't about elitism or abandoning old friends. It's about recognizing that different relationships serve different purposes in your life. Some connections nourish your history and roots. Others challenge you to grow into your potential. You need both. The key is being conscious about which relationships influence you most deeply and most frequently. Look for people who embody the qualities you want to develop. If you want to build a business, connect with entrepreneurs who are a few steps ahead of you. If you're working on fitness, find training partners who make your current efforts look comfortable. If you're developing character, spend time with individuals whose integrity and compassion inspire you. The most valuable people in your circle often aren't those who make you feel comfortable. They're those who make you uncomfortable in the right ways. They question your limiting beliefs. They hold you to higher standards than you hold yourself. They demonstrate through their actions what you thought was impossible. When you can't physically change your environment, change it virtually. In today's world, your influences aren't limited by geography. Books allow you to make the greatest minds in history part of your inner circle. Podcasts let you absorb the perspectives of extraordinary individuals daily. Online communities connect you with like-minded strivers across the globe. But virtual connections can only complement, not replace, the power of direct human relationships. Seek out mentors who've walked the path you aspire to travel. Find peers committed to similar growth journeys. Create or join mastermind groups where challenging conversations happen regularly. Be equally intentional about the influences you minimize. This requires courage, especially when negative influences come wrapped in familiar packages. You may need to limit exposure to chronic complainers, dream stealers, and energy vampires, even if they're people you care about. Remember, you can love someone without allowing their limiting patterns to become yours. Creating distance isn't always possible or necessary. Sometimes the solution is to change the nature of your interactions. Redirect conversations away from gossip, complaints, and limitation toward possibilities, ideas, and growth. Be the positive influence that elevates interactions rather than the one who gets pulled down. Most importantly, become the person you would want in your own inner circle. Embody the qualities you seek in others. Growth-minded individuals are drawn to growth-minded communities. When you commit to your own development, you naturally begin attracting others committed to theirs. Consider this question. 5 years from now, who do you want to be? What habits, mindset, knowledge, and capabilities do you want to possess? Now ask, are the 5 people I spend the most time with making that future self more likely or less likely? If the answer is less likely, what changes can you begin making? Today, your future is being shaped right now by your social environment. The only question is whether you're designing that environment intentionally or absorbing it passively. Choose wisely. Your future self depends on it. The mastery of emotional intelligence. Let me share a truth that the most successful individuals across every field have discovered. Technical expertise might get you in the door, but emotional intelligence takes you to the penthouse. Your ability to understand and manage emotions, both yours and others, will impact your success far more profoundly than your IQ, your credentials, or your technical capabilities. Consider this. We've all encountered the technically brilliant individual who can't collaborate effectively, the highly credentialed professional who crumbles under pressure, or the knowledgeable expert who alienates everyone around them. Their technical skills got them hired, but their lack of emotional intelligence limited how far they could go. Meanwhile, we've seen others with perhaps less raw intellectual horsepower or technical training advance rapidly in their careers and create extraordinary relationships. What separates these individuals? Their mastery of the emotional dimension of human experience. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, has 4 fundamental components: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Think of these as the cardinal directions on the compass of human interaction. Master them, and you can navigate any social terrain successfully. Self-awareness forms the foundation. It means understanding your emotions as they happen in real time. Most people operate in a perpetual state of emotional autopilot, reacting to triggers without understanding the feelings driving their behavior. They snap at a colleague without recognizing their underlying frustration. They withdraw from opportunities without identifying their fear. They make impulsive decisions without acknowledging their anxiety. The emotionally intelligent individual, by contrast, can name their feelings with precision. I'm feeling frustrated because this project is behind schedule. I'm experiencing anxiety about this presentation. I'm feeling defensive because that comment felt like criticism. This simple act of emotional labeling creates space between stimulus and response, the space where wisdom lives. Self-management builds on self-awareness. Once you identify your emotions, you must be able to regulate them rather than being controlled by them. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means channeling emotional energy productively rather than destructively. The person with high emotional intelligence knows how to calm themselves when anxious, motivate themselves when discouraged, focus themselves when distracted, and moderate their responses when angry. They've developed specific techniques, perhaps deep breathing, physical movement, perspective taking, or cognitive reframing, to shift their emotional states deliberately. Social awareness extends your emotional radar beyond yourself to accurately read others' feelings and dynamics. This requires genuine curiosity and focused attention, two qualities in increasingly short supply in our distracted world. Emotionally intelligent individuals notice subtle changes in facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. They detect unspoken tensions in meetings. They sense when enthusiasm is genuine or forced. They understand the difference between what someone is saying and what they're feeling. This awareness allows them to adapt their approach in real time. Relationship management represents the culmination of the previous three skills. It means using emotional awareness to create positive interactions and resolve conflicts constructively. The emotionally intelligent person knows when to push and when to support, when to speak and when to listen, when to confront and when to accommodate. Why does this matter? Because emotions drive behavior, and behavior creates results. Your emotional state determines your decisions, your energy, your creativity, your resilience, and your impact on others. Master your emotions, and you gain unprecedented control over the outcomes in your life. Consider two professionals facing the same setback, perhaps losing a major client or receiving critical feedback. The person with low emotional intelligence might spiral into anxiety, take the situation personally, blame others, or avoid addressing the issue. Their emotional response amplifies the problem. The emotionally intelligent individual experiences the same initial disappointment, but quickly recognizes their emotional state, regulates their response, seeks to understand others' perspectives, and engages collaboratively in solutions. Their emotional mastery transforms the challenge into an opportunity for growth. The remarkable truth about emotional intelligence is that, unlike IQ, it can be significantly developed at any age. Your emotional patterns aren't fixed. They're habits that can be changed through awareness and practice. Start with developing your emotional vocabulary. Most people operate with a limited emotional lexicon: good, bad, fine, stressed, that fails to capture the nuance of human feeling. Expand your emotional vocabulary to include terms like apprehensive, disheartened, inspired, serene, or vulnerable. Greater precision in naming emotions creates greater precision in managing them. Practice the pause, the deliberate space between stimulus and response. When you feel an emotional reaction building, pause, take a breath, name the emotion. Ask yourself, what's really triggering me here? What need of mine isn't being met? What would a thoughtful response look like? This brief moment of reflection can prevent countless regrettable words and actions. Develop your empathy through deliberate perspective taking. When interacting with others, especially in challenging situations, actively imagine their perspective. What pressures might they be facing? What needs are they trying to meet? What might they be feeling beneath their words or actions? This practice expands your emotional perspective beyond your own immediate reactions. Practice emotional regulation techniques that work for your specific patterns. Physical movement might help channel nervous energy. Deep breathing might calm anxiety. Writing might help process complex feelings. Find the techniques that effectively shift your emotional state when needed. Finally, seek feedback about your emotional impact on others. Most of us have blind spots in how our emotions affect those around us. Ask trusted colleagues or friends. How do I come across when I'm under pressure? What emotional patterns do you notice in me that I might not see? How could I better support others emotionally? Remember that emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing authentic feelings or maintaining a perpetual state of positivity. It's about experiencing the full richness of human emotion while choosing how you express and channel those feelings productively. In a world increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence handling technical tasks, your distinctly human capacity for emotional intelligence becomes more valuable, not less. Machines can process information, but they cannot bring empathy, inspiration, wisdom, or genuine connection to human interactions. Develop your emotional intelligence, and you'll unlock doors that remain forever closed to those with technical skills alone. Your relationships will deepen, your leadership will inspire, your resilience will strengthen, and your ability to navigate life's complexities will expand immeasurably. The wealth-building formula. Let's talk about money. Not because it's the most important thing, but because financial stress prevents many people from focusing on their deeper purpose. The formula for building wealth isn't complicated, but it requires discipline. Earn more than you spend and invest the difference wisely. First, focus on increasing your income. In today's economy, your earning potential is virtually unlimited. Develop valuable skills. Solve important problems. Create assets that work for you while you sleep, whether that's a business, intellectual property, or investment portfolio. Second, manage your spending. The gap between your income and expenses is what builds wealth, not your raw income. Many high earners remain broke because they succumb to lifestyle inflation. As your income grows, keep your expenses relatively stable. The difference is your wealth-building machine. Third, invest consistently and intelligently. Make your money work for you through assets that appreciate and generate passive income. Educate yourself about investing or find trustworthy advisors. Fourth, protect your wealth through proper insurance, legal structures, and diversification. What good is building wealth if you lose it all to one unfortunate event? The most important mindset shift around money is this: focus on value creation, not just accumulation. The wealthiest people solve the biggest problems for the most people. When you focus on genuinely serving others with your talents, money becomes a natural byproduct. Start where you are with what you have. Even small amounts invested consistently create massive results over time through the miracle of compound interest. 9. The practice of deep work. We live in the age of distraction. Social media, notifications, and endless entertainment options are designed to hijack your attention. Most people can barely focus for 5 minutes without checking their phone. Yet, all meaningful achievement requires deep, concentrated effort. The ability to focus deeply is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. Deep work is the professional activity performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limit. This state creates new value, improves your skills, and is hard to replicate. Most people spend their days in shallow work, responding to emails, attending meetings, and checking off easy tasks. This keeps them busy but prevents real progress on important goals. To practice deep work, start by scheduling uninterrupted blocks of time for your most important projects. Turn off notifications. Work in a quiet environment. Set clear objectives. For each session, train your concentration like a muscle. Start with 30 minutes of focused work, then gradually increase to 90 minutes or more. During these sessions, resist every urge to check email, social media, or indulge in other distractions. Protect your mental energy. Your willpower depletes throughout the day, so schedule deep work when your mind is freshest, typically in the morning. Develop rituals that signal to your brain that it's time to focus deeply. This might be making a specific drink, clearing your desk, or using noise-canceling headphones. In a world of endless distraction, The ability to do deep work is your superpower. Master it, and you'll accomplish in hours what takes others days or weeks. Ben. The legacy mindset. At the end of your life, you won't be thinking about your possessions, your job title, or even your achievements. You'll be thinking about the impact you had on others and the world. The legacy mindset means living each day with the end in mind. It's about asking, what do I want to be remembered for? And letting that guide your daily decisions. Most people live reactively, responding to whatever demands their attention. Legacy-minded people live proactively, focused on what truly matters in the grand scheme. To develop a legacy mindset, try this exercise. Write your own eulogy. What would you want people to say about you after you're gone? What values would you want them to highlight? What impact would you want them to remember? Now work backward. If that's what you want to be remembered for, what needs to change in how you're living today? Your legacy isn't built in grand, sweeping gestures. It's built in the small choices you make every day, how you treat the cashier, how you respond. When someone cuts you off in traffic, how present you are with your loved ones. The legacy mindset also brings clarity to your priorities. When faced with a difficult decision, ask, which choice will I be proudest of when I'm 80 years old looking back on my life? Remember that you're writing your legacy in real time through your actions. Make it one worth reading. Creating your best self isn't a destination. It's a lifelong journey of small, consistent improvements. The principles we've covered today, accountability, clarity, systems, growth mindset, embracing discomfort, curating your inner circle, emotional intelligence, wealth building, deep work, and legacy thinking. These aren't just concepts. They're tools for transformation. The gap between who you are and who you want to become is simply a matter of what you do differently from this moment forward. Not next month. Not when conditions are perfect. Now. Remember that transformation isn't linear. You'll face setbacks. You'll have days when you fall short of your standards. That's not failure. It's feedback. Use it to refine your approach and keep moving forward. Your best self is already within you, waiting to be unleashed through deliberate, consistent action. The question isn't whether you can become that person. The question is, will you make the choice to begin right now? If this message resonated with you, hit subscribe for more content on creating your best life.